Sometimes a man doesn't pull away because he doesn't care. He pulls away because he cares more than he expected to, faster than he was prepared for, and it catches him completely off guard. It's confusing to watch from the outside because it looks like mixed signals, like inconsistency, like something's wrong. But a lot of the time, what's actually happening is a man scrambling internally to keep up with feelings that arrived way ahead of schedule. Today I'm breaking down 7 signs he's falling for you faster than he's ready for. And stay till the end, because number 6 quietly explains almost every confusing thing he's been doing lately. Let's get into it. 1. He suddenly needs more space. This is usually the first sign, and it's the one that hurts the most in the moment, because it feels like rejection. Things were going great. Closeness was building fast, and then suddenly, he needs a little more room, a little more time to himself, without a clear explanation for why. Here's what's often actually happening underneath that. Closeness that arrives faster than expected can feel overwhelming, even to a man who genuinely wants it. Space isn't always him checking out. Sometimes it's him trying to slow his own heart rate down, trying to process how quickly he's gotten attached to someone he wasn't planning on getting attached to this fast. It's not always about you. Sometimes it's entirely about him trying to catch up with himself. 2. He downplays how serious things are getting. Listen for this one in conversation. When things start feeling real, he might casually downplay it, calling it just chill, not that deep, or brushing off a genuinely meaningful moment like it was nothing. This isn't necessarily him being dishonest about his feelings. A lot of the time, it's him talking himself down out loud, trying to keep the situation feeling manageable and low stakes, because the alternative, admitting how serious it's actually become, feels like too much too soon. If his words seem to be minimizing something that clearly meant a lot to both of you in the moment, that gap between what he says and what he clearly felt is worth paying attention to. 3. He overthinks small things you say. Here's a sign that's easy to miss because it looks like nothing on the surface. He brings up something you said, days later, almost like it's been sitting with him the whole time. A joke you made, a passing comment, something that seemed small to you but clearly wasn't small to him. Men who aren't invested don't replay conversations. They don't hold on to offhand comments long enough to bring them back up unprompted. If he's overthinking small things you say, turning them over in his head enough to mention them later, that's a man whose mind keeps returning to you even when he's trying to keep things casual on the surface. 4. He gets extra guarded about his feelings. This one seems backwards, but it makes complete sense once you understand it. As his feelings grow, some men actually become more guarded, not less, because vulnerability now carries higher stakes than it did before. Early on, when feelings were casual, there was less to lose by being open. Now that it's becoming real, being honest about how he feels means handing you real power to hurt him. So he clams up, deflects when asked directly how he feels, and gets noticeably more careful with his words. Counterintuitively, increased guardedness often signals increased investment, not decreased interest. The stakes went up, so the walls went up with them. 5. He talks faster than he acts. Watch for a gap between his words and his pace. He might say things that sound emotionally significant, references to the future, compliments that feel deeper than casual, but then seem to hesitate or slow down when it comes to actually moving the relationship forward in concrete ways. This isn't necessarily manipulation. A lot of the time, his mouth is keeping up with how he feels faster than his actions can, because feelings arrive instantly, but the courage to act on them, especially when he's scared of moving too fast, takes longer to catch up. The words are often genuine, even when the pace feels confusing and mismatched. 6. He pulls back right after getting close. Here's the one that explains almost everything else on this list. Notice a pattern where genuine closeness, a great date, a deep conversation, real vulnerability, gets followed almost immediately by some kind of retreat. Less texting for a day or two, a slightly more distant tone. This push and pull can feel exhausting and confusing, but it's an extremely common pattern in men who are falling faster than they expected to. Closeness triggers the fear, so distance becomes the natural response to manage that fear, even when it directly contradicts what he actually wants deep down. He wants to be close to you. He's just scared of exactly how much he wants that, and the fear briefly wins before he inevitably comes back around. 7. He watches you more than he talks to you. And finally, pay attention to the quiet moments, not just the conversations. Does he watch you when you're focused on something else? When you're laughing with someone? When you don't know he's looking? A lot of what men feel doesn't come out in words at all, especially when those feelings are still new and a little frightening to say out loud. Watching. Really watching. The way someone's face changes when they talk about something they love, the way they laugh, is an intimate, quiet form of attention that's hard to fake, and even harder to hide once you notice it. If you've caught him looking at you like that, that's not nothing. That's a man who's already further in than he said out loud. Closing. So let's recap. He suddenly needs more space. He downplays how serious things are getting. He overthinks small things you say. He gets extra guarded about his feelings. He talks faster than he acts. He pulls back right after getting close. And he watches you more than he talks to you. None of this means he doesn't care. If anything, it usually means the opposite. That he cares more than he was prepared for, and he's scrambling internally to keep pace with feelings that showed up ahead of schedule. That doesn't mean you should wait around forever for him to catch up. Patience has limits, and you deserve someone who eventually meets you where you are. But it might mean the confusing behavior you've been trying to decode isn't distance at all. It might be fear standing right next to something real. If this helped make sense of things, drop a like, subscribe for more relationship content every week, and let me know in the comments, which one of these have you noticed in him? See you in the next video.